This is the Chad and Jesse Poker Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Chad and Jesse Poker Show live from the 2023 World Series of Poker. Jesse, we've been talking about it for quite some time, and it's finally happening. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about our first guest.
Yeah, no kidding. We are here finally. I mean, it feels like a year hasn't passed. But here we are. It's day one of the World Series of Poker. And I mean, when you think about who we want as our first guest for our new show, I can't believe you said yes. I can't believe
he's already regretting it down there.
I'm definitely regretting it. I thought it was a podcast. I didn't know we were going to have camera coverage. I wouldn't have come on if I knew it was a camera.
Oh, you guys gave us this studio space. The executive director of the World Series of Poker, Stewart. Ty, it's the big day. It is the official kickoff day of the 2023 World Series of Poker. Right now, it's Tuesday, May 30th. The Casino Employees event, one that's near and dear to my heart, is happening right now.
Is it a 10-year anniversary?
10 years.
10 years of gold bracelet on your wrist?
It's right back here.
We got a picture of that? That guy was young. What happened to that good-looking kid?
Right? And you were there. We talked about a little off the air. You and I actually played together 10 years ago in that event.
How quickly did I bust? I got to go look. I do play every year. I think there's been 1 or 2 years I've missed with business responsibilities, but I really do look forward to it, donating my money. I think I finished, 13th or 14th. I 1 year. I got to go back in the annals, but it was like a 700 player field, and I will be telling that story, until the day I die. Once I retire. Like, I ran deep, really deep. So maybe today we can get deep again. Probably not.
Yeah, well, you and me both. I don't think I've cashed since I actually won it 10 years ago. So, well, we're very excited about that. You got a $25K starting this afternoon. So I know a lot of players like the Daniel Negreanus of the world are going to be excited about that. And it just seems to me this is the second year that we've been at the Paris, and now it's the Horseshoe. The rebrand is complete, and it feels different. Everybody that's come in that was here last year, the new carpet, the new feel, it just seems like, all right, these guys were ready this year.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, let's remember that in between, the sort of the COVID WSOP, which we played in November. I mean, we only had 6 months, right? So we had 6 months into a new home. I was proud of the job that we did last year, but you were right. We're more ready. The facilities have had a lot of capital investment. There's exciting new restaurants. I mean, there's new restaurants on this side, on the Horseshoe side with Asia, and of course Jack Binion Steakhouse, which opened as we were, in session last year. But on the other side, on the Paris side, there's a lot of new restaurants, new things. It's cool. We changed the layout a little bit. It's more open, I think, and yeah, we try to put all of the learnings that we had from last year into play for this year to make it a better experience.
The poker room, the new Hall of Fame poker room has been open too, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And it had some good action in there, which of course is really about having a footprint year round. Mm-hmm. We're going to do some cool things there. I think we'll do the Hall of Fame ceremony there. Of course, the real exhibit for the Hall of Fame and the Gallery of Champions, not yet up, but that should be happening during the WSOP. So that'll be another kind of cool moment. And yeah, I mean, we're very proud that as everyone else is sort of closing poker rooms, we got a brand new, pretty awesome poker room here at the Horseshoe.
Before we move on, I have to tell you, I got to go on a tour of the East Coast with my coworker, Matt Hansen, just a week and a half ago or so. We made a stop in Baltimore at the Horseshoe property there, and the poker room there blew my mind. I don't know if you've seen the pictures or if you've been able to walk through and see it yourself, but the photos you guys have on the walls are just amazing. Like Greg Merson was in there. You got a beautiful picture of Jack Strauss with his face in his hands that I had to take multiple. I mean, it was just so fun. I love what you guys have got here, but I hope you can bring more of those big, massive photos, because that's, as a historian, I love those shots that are just, you guys have in the vault, and it's just great.
Yeah, thank you. I think the plan is you'll see some new decor in the Hall of Fame poker room. I love the fact that you're old school and an old soul for poker. I was wondering if to come on the show, I have to have Poker Inc. I mean, hold it up here. It's like everyone's got their Poker Inc. Unfortunately, I don't, but no, you guys.
We can change that today.
Obviously love the game. Should that be what we do to start off the WSOP?
We should do that. Okay. We got to tattoo ourselves.
What should I have?
I mean, we can just tattoo a bracelet on you. You're always carrying one around.
I'm really sensitive to that, though.
Moneymaker's face also.
I don't think I've ever put one on. Wow. I just don't think. I think it's something you got to kind of earn. I don't want to be a poser.
That's fair. So, all right. Well,
got to be like you, man. Got to earn that.
One thing I did notice, speaking of old photos, And just the little touches that you did this year are the new Gallery of Champion banners that are hanging in the main ballroom there. A lot of them are different in that they're more reflective of the year that these players won or closer to when they won, which I think is great. And I just think it looks really nice. They're all new, a little smaller because you have more champions. You got to fit it in the same amount of space, but it's much more consistent across the board for me. And that's one thing I noticed right away.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we want people to walk in the World Series of Poker to, both celebrate the past, be a historian like Jesse, but also, dream about, hey, it really could be me. Right, like that could, and it's so the Gallery of Champions and taking it from the old, 8x10 photos that Binion's started, which were fantastic, just to have that. I mean, I remember when I first took this job, came in from New York City, I made my pilgrimage down to Fremont, and I just wanted to see those photos, and it was something that was important, which is part of what we're trying to do in the Hall of Fame Poker Room. But those banners, we wanted to make it feel a little bit larger than life. We wanted to really reinforce the history. And so, I think we were like the first people to do that. I mean, now you walk in some poker rooms, you see, bigger, larger format pictures, but we're thrilled about that. But tracking down old photos has been amazingly hard because there were different photographers. We didn't get like one little, hey, here's your file of all the photos that we own from 1970, in the transaction in the early 2000s. And so, being able to find, as you said, like photos, in some cases, photos from the actual year of the winner, they don't exist. And as shocking as that is, but it's also kind of cool. It's like the World Series of Poker was like real and organic. And it wasn't all corporatized that there was, one set of visual elements. But in any case, we tracked down a lot this off season, and we've got some new decor in the walls.
You mentioned anybody could win it. You want that feeling. One man who did win it 20 years ago, he's over your shoulder there in that picture with Jesse, Chris Moneymaker. This is the 20th anniversary. Jesse, I know you're good friends with him, and I know it means a lot to Chris, and I'm guessing it means a lot to the WSOP to be here 20 years later.
Well, I don't know if that's Jesse or me.
I know.
But I will tell you, of course it does. I actually had the opportunity to speak with Chris about a week ago, and I guess you guys would know the WSOP in 2003 was held in May. I think it started May 19th, and I think like it probably was just a day or so ago that the real day happened of the true 20th anniversary. But I mean, there will never be another story like that, right? It means everything. People always talk about the perfect storm, and I think it's true. Internet poker and whole card cams, and Chris Moneymaker. But it's not to me as much about, what he did 20 years ago. It's what he continues to do now. I said to Chris, it was important for me to say to him that, like, as we celebrate Doyle Brunson and what he meant, that Doyle Brunson was always such a gentleman. Doyle Brunson was always an ambassador. Doyle Brunson always kind of understood the big picture of we all want to see poker go forward and poker grow. Well, Chris Moneymaker had everything thrust upon him. And people think that he got the best of it. And he's so famous and maybe he was so rich. I don't think that they really understand that he had to give a lot of his life, make a lot of personal sacrifices, to this day, to promote the game, and has always done it with class and very gracious. And so I just think we continue to, like I say, it's appropriate to reflect upon his 20th anniversary because we owe him a great debt every single year. And things changed, so fast. And again, he had a perfect name, but he had a perfect style. I mean, he played with guts, and he stared down some of the biggest stars. And it's not just one bluff on Sammy Farha. I mean, he went through all of those guys and Ivies and others that he played there. And it's funny, I'm sure you've all heard accounts. He didn't even know who the great majority of them were, right? Which is insane. And he just showed up and knocked them all down. In any case, it's amazing. We celebrate the 20th anniversary of Chris Moneymaker. And I know there are several players who wouldn't have been playing the game had it not been for kind of, that moment and that story to give everyone the belief that in poker, anybody can win.
It was May 23rd. I looked it up as we were talking in the WSOP.com database. So 1 week ago was the actual 20th anniversary. But of course, we're going to celebrate it all summer long. And Jesse, I think you're going to try to get him on the show, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, you have to. I want to see him come in. I also want to get Tom McAvoy, because Tom McAvoy is now his 40th anniversary. And what's great about him and Moneymaker is that they both have nice parallels of being, what was their original job, Chad?
Accountants.
Yeah, they both were accountants. They both won satellites to get their way into the main event, and then they both won. And so I love their parallel stories. They're just 20 years apart. Unfortunately, McAvoy was just a little too early, and his name isn't as cool. Moneymaker's a little better.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I have to ask him about soccer. He's a girl dad, a soccer dad. And so we get to bond over talking about teenagers playing soccer. But, what a great guy for the industry. And, it's awesome. Hard to believe it's 20 years ago, right? I mean, it really, truly is hard to believe. I've told the story once or twice, but not just promote myself. But I was at the NFL, director of marketing, good career in sports marketing. I really didn't know much about the game. And when that happened and everyone was talking, and you watched that content, it was great production value from, 441 Productions and Miranda Swartz and, Norman and Lon, the way that, they presented it. And I'm not sure everyone knows that, like Norman Chad writes his own stuff. You would think that he's reading a teleprompter or whatever the case may be, but all those, it's beyond fairy tale, it's inconceivable. All those moments, like he's writing that, like he's feeling that. The way that everybody came together to present that amazing moment, not just in gaming, but you almost call it sort of American sports history on ESPN. I mean, it just changed everything. It made a kid that felt like he was going to stay in New York City and be in the traditional sports industry be like, wow, I want to go to Vegas and I want to be around poker and poker players. And that is much cooler than even working at the NFL. And if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here.
One cool thing that I've got to see you do was hang out with Vince Vaughn. He's the master of ceremonies for the World Series of Poker. Any chance we see him this summer? I know he's super busy. He's filming projects and things like that, but I thought I'd ask for an update.
Well, after 2 years, I guess you never know. Never say never. He was more interested in playing. He had a really good time the last 2 years playing. And so this master of ceremonies thing where he would come and he would go in the booth and he would do shuffle open deals and he hosted the media tournament. And I think he had a lot of fun, but it just gave him more of the itch to play. So next time we see him here, I think we're going to see him as a player.
There we go. Well, it was fun. I know he's got like a dodgeball too coming out and things like that, but it was always fun to have him here. We are at the new home. You mentioned Doyle not long ago, and I wanted to ask that too. You don't have to get into specifics if there is something planned, but my question is there anything planned to kind of honor the godfather of poker this summer?
Well, listen, the last thing that I want is to have anybody think that we're trying to be opportunistic or in any way, I don't know, exploit, a great man and a tragedy that has happened. And I think Todd Brunson put out a tweet himself that, there would be something at the WSOP. I will only say that we have certainly offered to be, host to be very convenient for, an appropriate celebration of life. I hope that all comes together. We're certainly willing partners because I do think it's important for everybody to hear one last time in one venue all the amazing stories, the respect that the entire industry has for the man. And I know there are a lot of people that want to, again, share their stories. I was able to see Jennifer Harmon on the street at Tivoli Village a few nights ago, and it just doesn't take much to get people talking. And I want to watch people speak about Doyle so I can also learn a little bit more. And I think that if the plans all come together, that it would be appropriate for the family and others to promote that at that time. But I would expect that this summer there's a celebration of life for a man that really should be celebrated.
Chad and I got to attend the grand opening of the Horseshoe a few months ago, where Doyle, Mattress Mac, and Jack Binion was there in attendance. It was amazing to be there. Jack Effel did a great job as a host of that event. But my question really is, Do you guys see any more opportunities to work with Jack Binion in the future? In the past, we always had an old man of poker, Johnny Moss, Slim, Doyle, of course, for years and years. But now we're kind of missing that without Doyle here.
I'm not an old man of poker. I mean, it's funny. 18 years now doing this, I feel like an old man. No, but I would never put myself in the same sentence as Jack Binion, who really created, everything and seemed to have so much vision. And there's just universal appreciation and love for what the guy did. He built something. We're trying to continue to take things to, the next level and do a good job. I don't know. I think Jack, every time we have asked him to participate in something, I remember one time I called him when Phil Ivey won a bracelet. I forget what year it was. It might have been the last bracelet he won. And I said, would you come? Because I just don't feel like anybody in our era should stand on the stage with Phil Ivey right now to do that. And he came for that. He came for an awards dinner. When we have asked, he has been willing. But I think he's got, he's earned his flexibility. And, we always hope to see him more. It was great to see him at that opening in the Horseshoe.
Well, before the WSOP kicked off, the PokerNews team, as we do every year, did some predictions. And I think that's a good way to end this real quick, is just to ask your thoughts on a few of the questions that we had. Lighthearted kind of stuff. So Do you think who's going to win a bracelet first this summer, Daniel Negreanu or Phil Hellmuth?
That's funny because Daniel factors so much. I mean, if you were going to ask me like who's player of the year, whatever, you probably say Daniel has to be such a favorite. But now you guys will know, I'm sure you have it right there. When was the last time that Daniel got the bracelet?
10 years ago, 2013, I believe.
What kind of prop bets does he have right now? Do we know of any?
I don't think he has any bracelet bets. I could be wrong on that. I think it's just the 25K fantasy draft, which of course he always goes hard. But he did say on his podcast, he's trying to win 4 bracelets this summer.
Okay. And I was to say, if I say Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth will probably kick me in the shins when I walk by him in the hall or something. I love Hellmuth, and if I actually motivate him even a little bit more, it's probably good. So I'm going with Negreanu.
I've told Jesse when we did these, I'd never bet against Hellmuth. I'm a Wisconsin guy, and so is he. So,
yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years. It's going to continue. I'm sorry, Daniel, but what happened last year? I mean, no, I love Daniel, but I think Hellmuth will get one this year.
All right, we'll see.
Tomorrow is the Mystery Millions, which is going to be an absolutely massive tournament. $1 million guaranteed for first place, $1 million top bounty prize. The question is it going to be a named pro like last year, Matt Glantz winning it, or a random amateur that takes it down this year?
I think numbers alone would tell you it's a random amateur, but it might be a named pro on the traditional prize pool side. The only, I guess, negativity or the only complaint we heard about that tournament last year was maybe there wasn't enough money on the traditional prize pool side, because there was so much money that went into the bounty. And so that's why we wanted to address this year with Mystery Millions to make sure there was $1 million on each side. I mean, but that event, if it is not an absolute monster, I'll be shocked, because don't you agree there was nothing ever like it? I was even shocked. I mean, how cool with the whole way, we worked with GG Poker, obviously, in consultancy, and having the tablets, the big Jumbotron, and all electronic and programmed and gamified. This was like the future of poker. And I think everyone was shocked at how cool that experience was. Go up to it was incredible. And if you played last year, you have to be back. And if you just heard about it, hopefully, you want to experience it. So I think that's why we put it in the position 1. I always get to choose that one or create something. It's like, of course it has to be, the $1 million bounty, but let's make it a little bit better than last year.
All right. Last question. The 2023 World Series of Poker main event. How big is that field going to get? I'll give you what Jesse and I predicted.
All right.
Jesse said a smooth 9,000. And I said 9,170. We both think it's going to be the record field. I know you guys are working hard to make that happen.
I'm taking the over. What's the highest? It's 9,101?
9,170. That was me. Really, and I predicted the highest of the entire PokerNews team.
No, I'm taking the over. So I'm taking 99.99. Okay. So I guess if I hit 10,000, if we hit 10,000, probably my head will explode, which will be fine. But so I don't want to even fathom that yet. But I know what we've done, right? Like I know that GG, who didn't put in actually all that many in the past, is going to be over 600 seats. I know that, Foxwoods put in 93 10K seats. I know that in this main event mania that we did in a year, we got 15 out of Turning Stone, 13 out of Pompano Beach. We have several hundred seats, which is bigger than the main event was for years and years out of just live regional casinos, already. So like, I know we're sitting at least 1,000 plus than we were last year. So you look at where we've been, 110 entry short last year, 2019 right there again, where we're already going to be in the 8,600 and we're plus 1,000. I mean, of course we're going to be there. Well, 99.99.
Wow. That would be quite something if it actually happens.
I hope it does.
Me too.
Come on. We want it to be the biggest. Absolutely.
Well, we are just getting underway at the 2023 World Series of Poker. We're shaping up for 7 weeks of great action. And Ty, I want to say it was a great pleasure to have you as the inaugural guest on the Chad and Jesse Poker Show.
Well, it's good to be here. I'll go look at the ink designs I can get for my poker tat here on my forearms. But no, listen, thanks you guys for all you do. Poker News has been a great partner for us for years and years. But you two guys, I know, really love the game, and you're doing this out of love, and you love the World Series. And so we appreciate that, and best of luck for this podcast, this endeavor. Get some better looking guests on.
Hey guys, we're starting a new segment this week called Calling the Clock. This is something, Chad, I've been super excited to prepare for with you. But what the rules of this, Chad, is we've got 8 topics to talk about, 2 minutes each. And what you're going to see on the on the screen is a clock. You'll see all 8 topics. It's very similar to some other programs we can't say the name to because we didn't pay them for it, but very similar to something else you may have seen on the internet or on TV before. but this is Calling the Clock. In the future, we're going to have Bob Smith in here giving his little spiel about being what the floor says here at the WSOP. But with that, let's get that clock ready. 2 minutes on the clock. We're going to start with our first topic. That is the Tropicana New Poker Room by Eric Persson. We got 2 minutes to talk about this, Chad.
I've said before, I do like Eric Persson. I wasn't a fan at first, but I have come around to his antics, if you will, and what he does and what he plays. So I'm kind of excited to see him bring this to Las Vegas. I think what Hustler Casino Live has done in LA does bode well for Vegas. But the Trop, isn't that where the Oakland A's are moving? They're going to build a stadium. Is this casino even going to be there? What's the long-term future of this? I don't know.
Yeah. So what I've heard is that they've got they've got a plan to build a poker room within the property now. And then when they tear down the casino to build the stadium, they're going to rebuild the Tropicana on the same site. They're only using, I think, 9 acres for the stadium. So there'll still be a new Tropicana property rebuilt to continue that brand, that location. And then the poker room will reopen. But the problem I have with this is, why isn't there just a Tropicana poker room, period? Why is this a Maverick Gaming sponsored one? Why isn't Maverick Gaming just open their own? They usually,
that's true.
They own casinos, they own poker rooms all over the country. But what is this thing they're doing? Plus, MGM just started a new live stream table there. If Live at the Bike, they're doing Live at the Trop. So.
Yeah, and once upon a time, the Tropicana did have a poker room. It was the Jamie Gold poker room. After it really was. I've been there before. Yeah. It didn't last very long. I actually like the Trop. I was there for a comedy show not long ago, and I'm kind of excited that they're going to have poker. And I know some of the people were associated with Live at the Bike, like Houston Curtis and things. So there is experience coming along, and then you do have Eric Persson and Maverick Gaming. It has the makings to be very successful, but I could see it really falling flat.
The question, though, is with Eric Persson's whole idea of, he started this whole thing with his 2 middle fingers up at Phil Hellmuth. He comes in hot. He comes in really hot, ready to run. And is that going to be like the motion of this poker room? This is a place where you can get hot-headed too and say, hey, the fucking guy who started this, he's the one who started it. So why the fuck can't I come here and say, fuck you, Chad Holloway, for calling me with pocket tens, you piece of shit?
It's right across from the Poker Go studio, really close. So you could see a lot of people playing high stakes there and coming over to the stream. Just a maybe.
Okay. All right, we got to move on. All right, our next topic is the Mystery Millions, which kicks off tomorrow. Chad, what do you got to say about it?
This is one of the questions that we had in our yearly predictions. We asked Ty Stewart, our guest, about this very thing. Is it going to be an amateur? Is it going to be a pro that wins it? Last year it was Matt Glantz. I think it'd be pretty damn funny if Matt Glantz pulls it again. I know he would love to. But the odds say it's going to be an amateur, which I think is great because this is a good opportunity to make a new superstar. Last year's event was a big success. This year's event is going to be as well. And they learned their lesson, right? The first place prize is also guaranteed at $1 million. So whoever draws that bounty isn't going to win more than the winner, unless that person also cashes. So I think it's going to be good.
What do you think about this being on the first weekend of the whole series, though?
That one, I'm not.
Is it too early?
Yeah, I think it's too early. I would have put it more into June or maybe even late June. I think the first opening weekend, I would have maybe put in. It was how many years ago they did like the $300 event or a $500
It's
event.
a $500, yeah.
Yeah, and then that really kicked things off in a big way. I hope it works, but I still do think there are some people out there who, while the mystery bounty format is very popular, I do think a lot of recreationals who have never played it might be intimidated by it, may not want to jump in it. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little too early, but I mean, the good thing is now people have to come out. Like there's people you just cannot miss the first weekend. So while I think it'd be better to be ramped up and ready for something like that, shit, it's here. It starts tomorrow. The Mr. Million starts tomorrow. So it's just we're there.
And the other good thing about having it now, I guess, is there's going to be a lot of viral moments, right? This is going to be probably streamed, the bounty envelopes. You might even have an iconic photo like Haley Hochstetler on our photo team took last year. She won the Global Poker Award for Matt Glantz winning the $1 million, holding his fingers up like this. Just an iconic photo. So in that sense, it is a good way to be like, get that talk, get that social media buzz going about the WSOP.
Jack even said, though, if we get enough people, enough players, there could be potentially $2 million bounties up for grabs,
wow.
Which would be fucking okay. We have to move on. Our next one is, of course, the actual Gladiators of Poker event, the big $300. There's going to be a $300 bracelet event, Shad Holloway, this summer. I mean, it used to be 1,000 was the entry level. 1,000 when I first got into poker.
No, the low hanging fruit used to be the casino employees event.
True,
I know we
$500.
called it the $500 buy-in, the low hanging fruit. So personally, because I have a casino employees bracelet, I feel like the more they have these lesser buy-in tournaments, the more prestige my bracelet goes up. So I'm all, I don't have a problem.
Is Alan Kessler in the hallway waiting to give us his thoughts on this? Because I think he disagrees.
He just disagrees with the bracelet as a whole. But I'm okay with the $300 buy-in event. I mean, they did the online bracelet event. They had a $50 one at some point.
On GG, that's right.
As long as they just don't add it in addition to all the others, right? I don't want 150 bracelet events with a bunch of $300, $400, $500 stuff. But if they want to add one that they know is going to get a lot of players and they're prepared for the massive fields, I'm all for it. I don't know if I'd dip below that because, that's less than most the WSOP circuits. I think 365 is the lowest buy-in on the WSOP circuit, maybe 250. I think 300, you don't want to go lower than that, though.
And I think having one is great, too. I think because what this does is it gets every play. The same thing at $500 did, with the Colossus when that first came out. It gets people talking. It gets people to want to come out. And that is going to break a record. There's no way that a $300 buy-in doesn't get every single person who just got paid, who likes poker, say, you know what? I can sit on my buddy's couch. Let's go eat peanuts for a week. I
didn't even notice until I looked at the thing right now. This $300 Gladiators of Poker No Limit Hold'em event, $3 million guaranteed prize pool. All right. On a $300 buy-in tournament, a $3 million guarantee. That's that got to give the WSOP credit there. That's a hefty one, and I think that's going to ensure that this is a very successful event.
You're really good at math. How many players is that?
3 million divided by 300
math.
He's
waiting for the timer. He's waiting for the fucking timer. This piece of shit. All right, yeah. Okay, obviously we're moving on. We'll go on to the next topic. Next topic is the Hustler Casino Live $1 million game. It's been taking place for a few days now. Tonight is the last one as we film this. The last one to take place tonight. Doug Polk's in town. Tom Dwan's in town for it. Chad, do you think this has been a success?
Let me ask you, who's the big winner? Who's the big loser?
The big winner is Hustler Casino Live.
Well, maybe so, because I don't know who the big winners are in terms of players or who the big losers are. So in that sense, I'm a little concerned. I haven't been able to watch it. Like the WSOP is here, a lot of preparation. So I think that might have taken away from at least the media coverage aspect, because I know us and every other outlet out there has been very busy with WSOP, the WPT final tables.
Well, I will say, while you have not been watching, everyone else has been, because this has broken a record for the number of viewers. Over 47,000 were watching live on day 1 or day 2 of the thing. I think it was day 2, I'm pretty sure. Massive numbers have been tuned in to watch. Joe Ingram has been crushing it as a host. You've got even like Eden Rocks on the Twitter Spaces doing after shows. I mean, it's been huge, man. It's been
I'll give him credit for success in viewers, no doubt about it. The bluff that Rampage ran.
Holy
that
shit,
was
yes.
amazing. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. There's been some other interesting aspects. I like the lineups and things like that. But in terms of this is a $1 million cash game, not a $500,000 buy-in cash game.
Yeah,
when they
Aussie
slashed
Matt
it.
came in, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't like that aspect. I don't like, there was the one hand that they really promoted out on their social media. I think it was from the first day. That was like a 1.2 million pot.
Yeah,
Huge pot. It was a chop pot, right? And I get that there was lacking big pots that day, so you got to make the most of it. But I think a lot of viewers expected bigger pots. And the problem, just like some of the players in the game said, maybe they're just too deep in relation to the blinds, or maybe they got to put in an ante or straddle. I don't know.
What we're learning though is that people want to see money on the table. If the big hands, Mr. Fault, Mr. There, they want to see the fucking money on the table. That's what we saw, which was great. So I think it was a success. All right, moving on to the next topic, Chad. The big 1-for-1 drop moves to the WPT. It's back. First of all, returning the $1 million buy-in, but not here at the WSOP. No, it's moving down the street to the Win.
Yeah, this is, you talk about big money on the table, $1 million buy-in. I was here for the first one of these back in 2012, and I got to say, it was absolutely electric. I mean, $1 million buy-in at the time, a little over 10 years ago, they had never even been, attempted before. Of
course.
I think they maybe had a 250K was the biggest buy-in up until this point. And just the atmosphere here at the WSOP, the Cirque du Soleil performers, it was a very special moment. And now we've had the big 1-for-1 drop over the years. I think there's been 4 iterations, but it hasn't been very consistent. So you had 2012 when Antonio Esfandiari won, 2014 when Dan Coleman won, and then 2016 was not at the WSOP, Elton Sang. I don't think it was at the WSOP. And then 2018, Justin Bonomo. So it's been almost 5 years since we've seen it. And the numbers have always went down. 48 entries that very first year, 42, 28, 27. All that said, Jesse, I'm a big fan of them partnering with the WPT and hosting this at the Win. We were there in December. It was a smash hit. And to add this to the equation, I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think what the World Series of Poker offers is something for everybody. When you're here this summer, there's a term for every buy-in, every prize pool, every prize pool, everybody's budget. You can find something here. $1 million buy-in isn't even necessary. You got enough big stuff here, and so I think for it to move over to WPT is a great home. I think it just adds to an outstanding schedule in December, and really, we got a great summer schedule here, a great December schedule there, or whatever it is, the fall.
Yeah,
fall
like it feels like the World Series of Poker has dominated the summer for so long, and there's never been that winter festival to balance out the year. It's there now. Last year, if that was any indication, the WPT World Championship, amazing event.
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is, of course, single table satellites. They ain't here anymore. They gone.
Yeah. And a lot of people are not happy about it. I've spoken to many of them, but I understand the reasonings why here, because it ended up becoming its own little ecosystem, its own little economy, if you will, right? These single table satellites were designed to put players into other events. So I'm assuming everybody who's watching this probably knows how it works, but in case you don't, let's say there's a $1,000 event. 10 people could each put up $100, and the winner of that 10-person single table satellite would then win their way into the $1,000 event. You would get lammers, these little chips, and presumably use that to buy in. Well, what we've seen, Jesse, where a lot of players were just grinding these tables because they knew satellite strategy, they were winning, and then they would just sell these lammers, maybe at a small discount, your $1,000 lammer for $950, something like that. And it just, from what I understand, just became a hard thing to police. Maybe there was tax implications. I don't know. The WSOP seems to have just said, you know what? We don't want to deal with this. They're gone.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense to players who want to go in there and get that done, and that just be their WSOP experience. But that is not the World Series of Poker. You can play cash games if you want to make cash. You can play other shit anywhere else. But here, the whole goal is to win a bracelet. And if you're out here playing single table satellites and selling your prize, that is not the World Series of Poker. That's the World Series of just fishing. And that's just bullshit. So no, get that out of here. I think what they're doing instead with these big super satellites or whatever they're calling it. What's the name?
I don't even know. Mega, super.
I think it's mega. Yeah. There's a name for it. Okay. And we'll drop it in right here under my chin. Okay. I mean, it's simply like, it's a great idea just to have 1K prizes. You can cash out. You don't have to sell lammers. There's no more lammers. They're gone. So I'm pleased with the change. I think it's a fantastic move.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what it does for the different satellites. Those players that used to play those, are they going to go play elsewhere? Is it going to be a boost to the cash game scene? I don't know. It's new territory because they had been around for so long. Now they're gone.
There you go. All right, our next one is going to be our WPT final tables. Chad, talk to us.
Yeah, this led right up to the World Series of Poker. So Poker News over the last month or so has been at 3 different WPT stops. There was a Seminole Hard Rock Poker Showdown in South Florida. I was there for that one. Ben Wang ended up getting the chip lead in that. Then he goes to WPT Choctaw, which was the weekend after, in Oklahoma, bags the chip lead there. And then right before, I think about a week ago, there was the WPT Gardens over there in California. And all 3 of these final tables, 6-handed, came over to Vegas, the esports HyperX Arena at the Luxor, and played down one final table each day, filmed. It's going to be on TV. Also, it was live streamed. So Ben Wang takes down the first one, which I think is incredible. The guy is the breakout player of the year. I don't see how anybody could catch him. He won the almighty, or the return at the Borgata for $1 million. He came here to the Horseshoe, where we're at right now, and won the WSOP circuit main event for his first ring in like 300 something K. And then he wins this WPT for $1.1 million. He didn't, however, win the next one, Jesse, which I think would have been a great story if he won back-to-back final tables.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, but you can't, Chad, come on, this isn't a fairy tale.
Well,
it's poker.
Yeah, but Jerry Jaffe did win that, and it was his second WPT title, $400,000 for that. Ben Wang, for your information, finished in 4th place for $143,000. And then this was the lackluster one, Jesse, just real quick. The WPT Gardens final table, not to take it away from it, it was the Brad
Owens
show.
There.
Right, but I'm going to say, but once he was gone, I think a lot of, enthusiasm died. It was great to see him there. I love Brad Owen. And it was cool to see him.
How much do you love Brad Owen?
I mean, $125,000
Look at the
worth.
camera and tell Brad
$125,000 worth at least, because he finished in 4th
Bradley,
place. So.
he loves you. Okay, you better love him.
But winning that was Kai Wynn, by the way, for $375,000. I think it was great. WPT is doing good things. I experienced it firsthand. I'm a big fan.
Well, there you go. Okay, let's move on to our last topic. Boom, there's a timer. Our last topic is solvers, Chad Holloway. The WSOP made a little statement regarding solvers. I'll let you take it from there on that one.
Yeah, that's the big talk of the town, if you will, leading up to the World Series, the controversy of the week, if you will. It was about a week ago that at the WPT Gardens that I just mentioned, that a player was on his phone using GTO Wizard. From what I understand, it was in between hands, not actually during a hand, but it opened up this whole debate within the poker community about what's okay, what's not okay with these real-time assistance apps. And, it's pretty much the consensus is you can't use it when you're in a hand. Absolutely not. That's pretty standard. It's always kind of been that way.
Yeah.
Now, if you fold your hand, right, who's to say? If you can go on your app, or if you can check your email, or you can message somebody. What somebody does when they're not in a hand, I think, is where the issue, like some people say, oh, they should be banned altogether. Others saying, well, that would be really hard to police. And where's the line drawn?
So what's the statement from WSOP, though? Do we have that?
The WSOP basically wanted to say, they clarified and wanted to stress this rule. Don't be on your phone if you're in a hand for any reason, but especially using a solver. And it said in their prepared statement that they issued to Poker News, quote, if caught using RTA GTO software during a hand, player will be subject to penalty up to and including disqualification or trespass. We reserve the right to further penalize a player for using RTA GTO in any other situation in our sole and absolute discretion, meaning not in a hand if you're abusing it. Players may continue to use their device to play WSOP.com or use Caesar Sportsbook app while in and out of a hand.
Hot word there is trespass, dude.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's big.
So I think it's one of those things is just be smart. Don't be on your phone.
Yeah.
Don't especially be using those things. Walk away from the table. Don't make it so blatantly obvious. And I think probably be okay, but definitely not in a hand.
I'm just going to delete the app completely.
There you go.
It's a better way, a safer way. Yeah, okay. All right. This has been Calling the Clock. Jesse Fullen, Chad Holloway. Thanks, you guys, for watching. And we'll be back on Friday, 5 p.m. on YouTube. What's our YouTube handle? Is it PokerNews.com? It is. It's spelled out. I know what it is. I just thought you would know. But no, Chad Holloway doesn't prepare
What's YouTube?
Fucking A, this guy. YouTube.com/PokerNews.com, all spelled out. DOTCOM. Yeehaw. I'm Jesse. Chad for us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on Friday. Toodaloo, boys.